Welcome to the universe of education. Today, we will focus on educational technology. In this overview, we will analyze key components that fit together to create endless possibilities. Let's imagine education as a universe. In this interpretation, learning theories are gravitational centers that create stability for the field of education. Educational technologies, then, are represented by stars, and their interconnectedness forms galaxies, represented by systems and system integrations. The solar systems are learning environments, and cosmic laws are ethics and principles that maintain the integrity of education. In this video, we will discuss components or considerations for educational technology, to include differentiating between processes and tools, the theoretical framework underpinning EdTech, the ethical considerations and applications of EdTech, the development and evaluation processes, and the ways in which EdTech leads to human performance improvement. Januszewski and Melenda define educational technology as the study and ethical practice of facilitating learning and improving performance by creating, using, and managing appropriate technological processes and resources. Morrison et al. Expand on this definition of educational technology, citing Ross et al. To categorize educational technology as a variety of modalities, tools, and strategies for learning. More specifically, educational technology may be leveraged in a variety of settings or delivery methods, using a variety of digital tools, and leveraging a variety of instructional strategies. When we think of educational technology, online environments may immediately come to mind. However, classroom-based, traditional instructional modalities may leverage educational technology to individualize content and assessments, further engage learners, and encourage creative and collaborative work. Januszewski and Melenda remind us that the study of educational technology encompasses mixed methods research, but also involves inquiry, analysis, and evaluation. Research is an iterative process and should be inclusive of practitioners who are involved in the routine use of educational technology with learners. This inclusion is extremely significant because researchers in isolation often do not have the full context of the use of the technology and may not be subject matter experts, so combining research and practice appears to be the most effective way to study educational technology. Both quantitative and qualitative data are necessary to determine the need for and effectiveness of educational technology, since user experiences may be based on a variety of variables, and anecdotal experiences coupled with real-time feedback could prove valuable in the evaluation of the technology. The field of educational technology involves a systematic approach to learning and teaching that differentiates between the process and the tools. The process is often the design, such as instructional design processes, whereas the tools are the platforms or systems of delivery used in the field. For instance, utilizing educational technology means developing the content that will be delivered while also selecting the most appropriate tool for that delivery. When educational technology is leveraged, processes have been vital in determining their necessity and fit for the task at hand. These are often design processes, such as universal design for learning, instructional design models like ADDIE or SAM, and backward design. Together, these processes represent the curriculum development cycle that must first establish a need and/or solve a problem, and then strategically help learners accomplish learning outcomes determined by the need or problem. Morrison et al. Explained that instructional designers focus on the knowledge and skills needed to solve the instructional problem rather than the content itself, as instructional design is about the individual learner. Educational technology serves as a tool to help learners achieve the identified learning outcomes. The tool selected must be beneficial to the learner. As noted by Morrison et al., although technology can provide more efficient instruction, it does not necessarily provide more effective instruction. Technology can become a barrier when selected haphazardly and may not serve its intended purpose. Additionally, educational technologies must be accessible to all learners to be effective. There may be hidden financial barriers for access, such as needing a certain kind of device. There may also be digital accessibility issues, such as hotspot activities that cannot be used with keyboard navigation or interactions that do not support screen readers for students with visual impairment. Resources must be dedicated to training and support for the tool so that end users are able to focus on performance. Learning management systems are often considered the foundational technology in instructional settings. Any additional tool selected must be able to seamlessly integrate with the LMS to be the most effective, particularly in online settings. Additionally, if the educational technology does not work with certain devices or within system requirements for an organization, learners will experience obstacles that could impact their ability to meet learning outcomes. Educational technology has arisen from many fields, such as cognitive and behavioral sciences, computer science, education, engineering, and business. An analysis of the relationship between these fields and the field of educational technology demonstrates the multitudinous influences on classroom technology use today. To use technology effectively as a learning tool, it is crucial to understand how learning works. Learning theories have shed light on the process and variables involved in learning, and proved to be an important context for the field of educational technology. Behaviorism originated in the 1900s, remaining popular through the 1950s. Piaget's theory of cognitive development overlapped with behaviorism, beginning in the 1930s and becoming the foundation of other theories by the 1970s. In the 1970s, constructivist theories arose from the work of Piaget and others. And finally, the cognitive theory of multimedia learning, which began in the 1990s, is also a foundation of educational technology framework. Behaviorists like Pavlov and Skinner considered learning as a response to stimuli. This response could be spontaneous or learned over time based on experiences. Skinner's study of operant conditioning, introducing reinforcement to encourage behavior, is still used in classrooms today and has helped shape the evolution of educational technology. As an example, if an educator gamifies learning by creating an online module delivered through educational technology to teach a skill and then provides awards for the completion of small tasks within that module, the educator is leveraging operant conditioning. Cognition refers to thinking and memory processes, and cognitive development refers to long-term changes in these processes. Piaget's theory of cognitive development, for instance, proposed a sequence of cognitive development phases from birth to young adulthood. The link between such a theory and educational technology is evident in the consideration of content delivery via educational technology for select age groups. For instance, an audience of fourth graders receiving instruction through educational technology would benefit from concrete instruction, but it would also be appropriate to represent multiple steps and processes, as well as introduce more complex critical thinking tasks like applying deductive reasoning. If delivering a lesson to them through educational technology, a teacher may be able to request more than one cognitive process at a time. A kindergarten teacher, on the other hand, would need to focus on one cognitive task at a time. The information processing theory, introduced by Atkinson and Shufrin, views the mind as a computer that accepts inputs and performs processing activities on those inputs. This theory introduced the idea of sensory storage, short-term memory, and long-term memory as three separate processes. Effective learning is associated with long-term memory, which in turn helps with application. Educators looking to leverage educational technology would need to establish relevance and necessity of knowledge to help students retain it in long-term memory. The constructivism theory recognizes the capacity for computer technology and tool-mediated activity to augment our capabilities and to develop our collective intellect. Educational technology is intended to foster engagement within the learning environment, thereby helping learners actively build new knowledge. Social constructivism focuses on learning through collaboration, and many educational technologies enhance the collaborative energy of class environments, whether online or in person. Finally, let's discuss the cognitive theory of multimedia learning. This theory leans into previously established cognitive principles, such as types of memory, retrieval, and organization processes, to better understand how learners respond to multimedia assets. CTML is based on three main assumptions: the active processing assumption, the limited capacity assumption, and the dual channel assumption. The theory asserts that people learn more effectively when both words and pictures are used, so sensory input becomes an important tool in delivering content. If we apply this theory to educational technology, we consider the sensory input learners receive when using the technology, the active engagement the technology requires from the learner, and the chunking of information using the technology to prevent cognitive load issues. J.D. Finn, a professor at the University of Southern California who was instrumental in the transition from audiovisual education to instructional technology, and Ivor K. Davies, a psychologist and professor of instructional systems technology who focused on the systems approach to education and the management of learning, both explored the moral and social implications of their field in the 1950s and 1960s. Finn warned about the potential dehumanizing effects of technology, emphasized the need for human-centered instruction, and cautioned against a wholesale automation of education. Davies focused on the ethical responsibilities of instructional design to serve all learners, even encouraging teachers to act as managers of the learner. From the beginning, the professionals knew that technology would require a form of order, some rules, maybe codes of conduct. Since education technology is founded as the study and ethical practice of facilitating learning and improving performance, by creating, using, and managing appropriate technological processes and resources, we are responsible for improving human performance. Here's a look at how today's philosophers have divided ethics into three categories. First, meta-ethics focuses on the origin and meaning of ethical principles. Normative ethics are aimed at establishing standards to distinguish and regulate right and wrong conduct. Finally, applied ethics focuses on practical dilemmas to solve real-world problems. Educational technology can be categorized under both normative and applied ethics. Codes of conduct must be established, and acceptable versus harmful results must be considered. But the use of educational technology in the instructional setting is an applied ethics scenario. The goal here was to provide a structured approach to integrating technology. The time was coming, and could not be ignored, that bringing technology to learning environments could better align teaching with learning goals, with the potential to improve student outcomes. This led to another question: how do we ethically ensure that systematic design benefits all students and does not lower motivation through poor organization by the designer? Eureka! Frameworks. Frameworks, also known as research-based models, provide a structure for educators and developers to navigate complex ethical dilemmas related to data privacy, bias, and human autonomy, helping to ensure that technology is used responsibly. In a broad sense, evaluation is used for the purpose of making judgments about the worth or success of people or things. In the academic arena, evaluation typically focuses on student success and the achievement of learning outcomes. Evaluation in educational technology specifically serves a dual purpose: to assess the learner's achievement of the objectives and to assess the technology's appropriateness for the task at hand. In this sense, evaluation expands to the analysis of the tool to deliver content to the learner. If the tool is not improving learner performance, is presenting obstacles rather than solving identifying challenges, or is inaccessible or unreliable, then it is not serving its purpose and should be re-evaluated or retired. Morrison et al. Contend that human performance technology places a strong emphasis on front-end analysis to identify the underlying cause or causes of a performance problem. Educational technology can be the tool used to solve the identified performance problem. In this way, educational technology has the potential to increase human performance. Consider generative AI tutoring, which is a popular tool for students today. In this example, the individualized tutoring can provide specific and relevant insight and examples catered to the student using the tool, thereby improving skills gaps and subsequently, performance. Similarly, educational technology, particularly responsive tools, can develop individual learning paths using formative assessment and iterative feedback cycles. Although we may think of educational technology's impact on human performance as learner-centered, this technology also has the potential to improve the performance of educators and trainers. When leveraged appropriately, EdTech can allow educators and trainers to focus on the most important aspects of the learning process and reinforce essential application skills with learners. Educational technology is a complex field, but when applied to learning environments effectively, it can unleash potential. Let's use it to prepare our future generations of explorers, both in our classrooms and beyond. Thank you for your interest in educational technology.